Legislative Evaluation Assembly in Minnesota table, a lot of good stuff for you. We also have a table with a lot of free items, so make sure you go shopping and take a lot of stuff home. Share it with your neighbors and your family. Sometimes we can't say things to people, but if we hand them something, it's a little less threatening to them, so it's pretty good. But I want everybody to know that I bought this beautiful little jacket. This nice leather jacket. And we flash party And if I may say so myself, it looks darn good.
Yes,
How many went to the flash point for that? Yeah, that was pretty good. It was actually the first Thursday and the first Friday of last month, and so the first Thursday we were here for Sheriff Richard Mack. How many of you were here for that meeting? It was good, wasn't it?
Yeah. Thank you, Rick.
Oh, you're welcome. No problems. We brought him in about 10 years ago, Sue Biken and I. Sue Biken had the Mille Lacs Tea Party Patriots, and I had the North Metro Tea Party Patriots at the time, and we brought Sheriff Mack in to speak back then, and it was a wonderfully attended event. We had Sue Jeffers who moderated it, and we had several sheriffs there at that time. But anyway, last month, then on that Friday after the Tea Party meeting, I went to the Flashpoint event, and we saw their live, well, they sat as a panel and did a live taping of it, so it was very interesting to be there, and I got a jacket. Yeah. So I just want to say welcome again. It's a cold night. We're glad that you're here. But I'm Mary Ann Law. This is the Liberty Tea Party Patriots. Who is new here tonight? Who's new? Are you new? That's wonderful. We hope you come back. And for those of you who are new, and as a review for the rest of us, here's why we do what we do. Liberty Tea Party Patriots is the first and longest running Tea Party group in the state of Minnesota. This group was formed in March of 2009, the first of 59 groups all throughout the state to form by 2011. Can you imagine that? In a state like Minnesota, we had 59 Tea Party Patriot groups. We're here to educate, motivate, and activate as part of the current Tea Party movement that stands against an out-of-control government of unconstitutional spending and taxation. The TEA and Tea Party stands for Tax Enough Already. We're an affiliate of the National Tea Party Patriots Organization, which is a trademark name. The national organization did define who we are and what we can do to reclaim our country that our founders envisioned. Tea Party Patriots' mission statement is to equip Americans with the resources and training they need to be engaged and effective citizens. Its mission is for a nation where individual liberty is cherished and maximized, where the Constitution is revered and upheld, and where Americans are free to pursue their American dream. Tea Party Patriots define the three core principles that are our guide for who and what to vote for. It's a guide for our policymakers at all levels to secure liberty-based policy, and we certainly could use more of that. We have a lot of people fighting, but when we're not in control in the state legislature, we don't get things passed the way they should be passed. And we'll be talking about that more tonight. But the three core principles are limited constitutional government, so we have personal freedom, free market economics, so we have economic freedom and prosperity, and financial responsibility, so we have a debt-free future. Increasing the U.S. debt puts an undue burden on future generations, as we all know. So please pick up a brochure on the way out. It states its 3 goals. Please take enough to share with others. It's the best way to let people know who we really are. Now, some of the people who help with monthly meetings as they happen here tonight, I want to say a big thank you to Steve, the general manager of Willie McCoy's. He welcomes us every week. We have Sam, the banker manager, right back there. Hello, Sam. And the first servers this evening are Michaela, Andrea, Maddie, and Divine. So thank you to all of them. Oh, I don't know how she got that name. Nancy Paladon Baumgartner. Thank you, Maria, too, for being at the door and greeting. Sue Erickson, too. We help out from time to time because everybody's still. She brought cupcakes last month. It was her birthday. Yay. Travis Ekbaum, he's back there in the back. He brings his gorgeous flag for us and does some of the decor in here. So thank you, Travis, for that. And typically there is no recording or taping unless permission has been given by the speakers. We do have permission tonight, so everything's all right. But thank you for supporting this local business. Like I said, they've been so supportive of us over many years now. But your food and beverage orders in this copper banquet room are needed in order to keep the room in the servers from month to month. So appreciate very much. Our expenses do go up. We just had another increase with our email distribution list service, and it just keeps going up. But your generosity has really made it possible for us to exist all these years, and we're going into our 14th year. So give yourself a hand for that. These meetings would not go on without attendance. Now, we always formally begin our meetings with prayer. So the National Thanksgiving Proclamation was declared by which president? It was George Washington in 1789. It's a day of public thanksgiving and prayer. And in remembrance, we're going to have Travis lead us in his annual Thanksgiving poem. That's why.
Thank you very much. This is a poem called The Word of God to Laden Came. It was written by an abolitionist named Jeremiah Ames Rankin. And as Mary said, it's a poem, but I hope we can sort of reflect on it as a kind of prayer tonight, really an act of commencement as we perpetuate this tradition of Thanksgiving in November. The word of God to Leyden came, Dutch town by Zuider Zee. Rise up, my children of no name. I'm sorry. Too much pressure tonight. Normally I can do it from memory, but when I say it's a prayer, all of a sudden it's a little more stressful. The word of God to Leyden came, Dutch town by Zuider Zee. Rise up, my children of no name, my kings and priests to be. There is an empire in the west, which I will soon unfold, 1,000 harvests in her breast, rocks ribbed with iron and gold. Rise up, my children, time is ripe, old things are passed away. Bishops and kings from earth I wipe, too long they've had their day. A little ship have I prepared to bear you o'er the seas, and in your souls my will declared shall grow by slow degrees. Beneath my throne the martyrs cry, I hear their voice how long. It mingles with their praises high, and with their victor's song. That thing they longed and waited for, but died without the sight, so this shall be, I wrong abhor, the world I'll now set right. Leave then the hammer and the loom, you've other work to do. For freedom's commonwealth there's room, and you shall build it too. I'm tired of bishops and their pride, I'm tired of kings as well. Henceforth I take the people's side, and with the people dwell. Tear off the mitre from the priest, and from the king his crown. Let all my captives be released, lift up whom men cast down. Their pastors let the people choose, and choose their rulers too. Whom they select I'll not refuse, but bless the work they do. The pilgrims rose at this God's word, and sailed the wintry seas, with their own flesh nor blood conferred, nor thought of wealth or ease. They left the towers of Leyden town, they left the Zuider Zee, and where they cast their anchor down, rose freedom's realm to be.
Amen.
Amen.
Thanks, Travis. He offered to do that last year, and he said, would you like a poem? And I said, sure. And I just thought it was such a great little prayer. So as we thank and honor all those who have served our country, we ask that all those who have served or are serving right now to please stand. Please stand. All of you. Thank you. Thank you. We're grateful for your service. If you please would remain standing, we're going to have Joe Liberty, a great patriot, here lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Along with you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. All right. We are going to
Yeah,
have
I know.
Donna
Sometimes I do it to that one.
speak to us. Donna Unfiltered. This is her little segment where she will share things that are important to her and her thoughts, and we always enjoy hearing her. Here's Donna. Your mouth. It's on. Put it to your mouth.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
There we go. There she goes.
My name is Donna Thibodeau, and this is the Tea Party update. I deal with national issues and some local, but anyway, today's episode is called Tea Party Patriots National Issues 2, because I did one last time on number 1. Okay. And before I really get started here, I wanted to comment on something Jenny Beck sent out last July. And I saw this again and when I was doing my research, and I just saw this and I laughed. This is called Tell the CDC Men Cannot Chest Feed Babies. I'm going to pass it around because underneath is some yellow highlighted stuff. It does have a serious side to it. So pass this thing around, and then I want it back after everybody's seen it here. Okay. Now, I'm going to deal with 3 big issues: the presidential race, the Speaker of the House race, and the movie called Police State. Okay. The presidential race. On the Republican side, we have turmoil, that's true, but there's also hope. Trump's legal problems keep piling up, but Trump just keeps moving forward and ends up higher and higher in the polls. In one case, the judges issued a gag order, then suspended it, and then reissued it. Then Trump got assistance from a most unlikely source. He got help from the Liberal American Civil Liberties Organization. They told the judge that the order is unconstitutional because it breaches Trump's right to free speech. Can you believe that? Today, in the Minnesota Supreme Court, Joan Groh, a former Secretary of State, brought a lawsuit to get Trump kicked off our presidential primary coming up March 5th, 2024. Blaming him for the J6 rally that got out of hand due to lack of security at the Capitol, and calling it an insurrection, which it was not. Other states have brought the same issue up, and so they're in process. One state has already dispensed with the case, dismissing it. Trump is so far in the polls, the media has almost declared him the winner of the Republican primary. That's another one that surprised me. Okay. And in the Senate, Steve Daines, a Republican from Montana, thinks that the rest of the presidential candidates should drop out and coalesce behind Trump for president, and the sooner the better, because that gives us an edge over the Democrats. On the Democrat, there's turmoil, but there is no hope. Biden, I missed that. Okay. Biden's ratings are very low, and the majority of Democrats don't want him to run. It's not because he's 80, by the way, and I take issue with that because I'm 80. It's because he's frail and he's weak and he has some sort of dementia. And there's different kinds, I don't know what kind he's got, but something. Every decision he, or shall I say his handlers, makes has caused the rest of us in America pain. Every one of them. The impeachment inquiry, when Mike Johnson got to be Speaker, there was question about was he going to go forward with the Biden impeachment inquiry, and the answer is yes, he is. Now, filmmaker, a lot of people are having voters' remorse for voting for the wrong person in 2020. Filmmaker Oliver Stone, voters' remorse is over the 2020 election, and he said outright, I made a mistake. Now, our own challenger, Dean Phillips, U.S. Representative from Minnesota, is challenging Biden on the Democratic ticket. And he gave a long talk or statement of why he's disappointed. It's on, I printed it in all of it on this salmon colored thing. It's there. And you should have enough at your table. If you don't, I got some more here if you want to get one.
Thank you.
Okay. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is running as an independent. Some people say he will pull votes from Trump, but I don't think so. I'm no pollster, but I don't see how that can be since so many people want an alternative to Biden. They don't want to vote for Trump. They don't want to vote Republican. They want an alternative. So we'll see who's right or wrong. Now, the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, all I can say about that is we finally got our act together after removing Kevin McCarthy, and I didn't know anything bad about it, but he was wishy-washy kind of. Steve Scalise, Jim Jordan, Tom Emmer, and Brian Donalds, etc., all tried but failed to get the nomination. But a guy I'd never heard of, Mike Johnson, got to be Speaker. Now, he's a Christian conservative, and in an October 29, 2023 article called Rise of the Rank and File, How Johnson's Speakership Empowers the Non-Leadership Conservative Wing of the GOP. In that article, he makes reference to Tea Party Patriots 2 times, okay? The first, he says, Speaker Johnson taking the gavel is the culmination of the GOP's shift that started with the Tea Party Patriots revolution 13 years ago. A House GOP aide told Fox News Digital. And here's another one. Johnson is a Christian conservative and a former Republican study committee. I don't know what committee he was on, what that kind of committee was. But anyway, he took the chair by a unanimous vote. He referred to the Tea Party as the zenith of conservatism. Conservatism. Due to Tea Party Patriots revolution 13 years ago. Johnson defends his Christian views with the statement, go pick up a Bible. That's my worldview. And I've brought up here worldview before, but basically the Christian worldview is what we were founded on, the Judeo-Christian worldview. Now I have the movie called Police State. Okay. Oh, this I forgot to show you. This can go around too. It's all the important dates with the 2024 cycle on it. Okay. And okay. On this police state movie, it's a private affair, and I accidentally found out about it the day it came to town. And it was in several theaters around Minnesota. And it's D'Souza's Police State, and here it kind of gives you an idea of what it is, and it shows the real story of what happened to one person, how they came without a search warrant. They knocked on the door, they banged on the door, they broke the door down, came in, trashed the house, they showed pictures of it, and then they comes to the lady of the house and they said, would you sign this and we'll be gone? And she just looks at him, you know? So that's a real happening. And it's online now. I think you can order it streaming online, okay? And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about is this fellow, Alex Marlowe, wrote this book, Breaking Biden, and he goes to extensive efforts to make this thing accurate. And mean, he just shows, I read part of it, not all of it. But anyway, he goes to extensive lengths to prove how crooked the Biden family is and has been. And I think the only reason Jill is dragging him around is because he makes millions. So, that's it, folks, for me.
Thanks, Donna, that was great. Lionel, you want to come on up and fill us in on what's going on in Bloomington? There's everything from school board races to the mayor. A lot going on down there.
There is.
You may not need a microphone, but come on up.
Think so? Should I use the mic, or you guys, can you hear me?
Use the mic.
Can you hear me now? Yeah. Can you hear me now? Is that a commercial? All right, well, welcome. I live in Bloomington. I haven't been there very long. But Bloomington, which is the fourth largest city in the state of Minnesota, has an extremely unusual situation that next week they have all 6 council seats and the mayor up for election. That's the entire, I'll get there. That's the entire city control, and if you flip them, you can kick the city manager out, which is where the real corruption is. We also have 3 school board seats. I have cards with me, and there's a sheet on the paper on the table. If you know anybody in Bloomington, anybody, you haven't talked to them for 5 years, call them up and say, are you voting? And there's cards I will hand out telling them exactly who to vote for. On top of all that, the city wants to put in 3 ballot initiatives. They studied for 5 years to find out what the people want. And they came up with what they think the people want. Community Health and Wellness Center, $1.1 million, but then in parentheses, plus the cost of interest and to secure the bonds. They don't roll that into the price. To replace a building that currently houses activities, seniors activities. The building I want to put in is 4 times the size, and it's going to have meeting rooms for the public, health area, 3 gymnasiums, indoor playground, swimming pool, cafe, exercise rooms, public health space. That's so they can spend your tax dollars handing out health care, which is not their business. Counseling rooms, and that's $101.8 million. The second thing they want is they want to improve their Bloomington ice gardens. It is a building that has 3 sheets of ice. They're Olympic-sized sheets of ice. They want $37.2 million because, well, that refrigerant is the old stuff. We want the new stuff. And we want to do an upgrade on the roof. It didn't say the roof's leaking. They want to do an upgrade. But the real part of it is that the Youth Hockey Association in Bloomington, which spent a bunch of money to have mailers go out to all the residents, they want to take one of those Olympic-sized rinks and make it reshaped to a NHL-sized rink. The people who live in Bloomington who aren't playing NHL hockey, they don't give. They don't care. Most of them have never even been to the ice garden. Oh, and they want to build an outdoor practice area, which is a nice way of saying we want to put in a bunch of asphalt so the kids can rollerblade hockey in the summertime. But they wouldn't put that there because that wouldn't be environmentally cool. Third thing is 9 Mile Creek Corridor and Moore Park, $20 million, again, plus the cost of issue of the bonds and the interest. They want to change the walking paths along this creek and have 100 acres of prairie and creek wood habitat redone. The city is all behind this. They want to give their buddies something to have their friends make out. The hockey association in your town, if you have one in your town, they're who's running your city. They have more money than anybody else there. They service less than 600 kids, and they have a half a billion dollar budget. So they also shoved ranked choice voting down the throats of Bloomington when COVID was here. And they tried to get rid of it, the people that I'm supporting and helping, and got it on the ballot. And that was addressed here at the Tea Party because Midwest Law Center?
James Stiggy with the Upper Midwest Law Center.
Yeah, he took that on for the citizens because the city was fighting it. They fought it all the way to the Supreme Court of Minnesota. And that was pushed through 2 years ago with over $100,000 worth of outside money to get ranked choice voting in Bloomington. So, if you know anybody in Bloomington, and I'll give you a card, it'll have the information to contact. On Saturday and Sunday, we're going to be doing literature drops. We need to flip the city so that we can get back to common sense. There's less than 90,000 people there right now. It's actually declining, even though they're putting in apartments all the time. The council wants to get the population in Bloomington to 150,000. Thank you so much, Mayor.
Thank you. Seriously, what's going on? Bloomington used to be such a beautiful suburb of Minneapolis. Yeah. The 2023 report on the Minnesota legislature has just been released with this year's legislative honorees. In 1972, the Legislative Evaluation Assembly of Minnesota, known as LEA, was started as a nonprofit to inform the citizens of Minnesota of both important legislation and the voting performance of each Minnesota state legislator every year. And to tell us more about that and to go over the report, it's that little green, yes, it's that green brochure that you have there, is John Augustine. He's the former chair of LEA and a current board member.
Thank you, Mary. Just very briefly before I start my presentation of the LEA report, also wanted to mention the John Adams Debate Society on November 15th. We'll be holding its next monthly debate at Burger Mills in St. Paul on the evening of November 15th. Resolution is going to be resolved. America cannot nor should fund wars abroad. So, thanks for coming out tonight. To get this started and get this going quickly, and you don't have to be really polite or anything, but just rapid fire, what do you think were the biggest developments in Minnesota government in legislation from the 2023 session? Just start throwing some out.
Spending a lot of money.
Spending a lot of money, okay? Voting restrictions? No restrictions on abortion. Public safety, undermined, okay? Driver's licenses for, and documentation for illegals.
Expanding handouts.
Yes, new entitlement programs. All right.
Tax increases.
Well, tax increases, I already mentioned that, yes. And lots of spending. Okay, so you guys have a pretty good idea of a lot of the big issues that came up in the 2023 session and changes that were made. How many of your friends and neighbors, I think, are aware of these developments and have reactions to them?
Any Richmond? Unfortunately not very many, but we have to get the word out. And that's what LEA is about, education and evaluation. As Mary said, we've been around since 1972. We're best known for this annual report on the Minnesota legislature, which we put out on your tables here as a courtesy of being allowed to give this presentation. We certainly can use your support. We're entirely nonprofit, nonpartisan, member supported. It's $10 to be an annual member, and that gets the invitation to the annual banquet. And this year, for the first time since the COVID lockdowns, we're trying to bring in a prominent out-of-state speaker, so that might help if you can help support us. So we've got our sign-up forms in the back that you can take with you, or you can just go to our lea-mn.org website and you can sign up online as well. So, we had big tax, and in the middle of your tables, I also put together an outline for this speech that might help you follow along a little bit. With big tax and spending increases with very little return of the surplus, despite what was promised during the campaign. Got the extreme abortion rights and the transgender care refuge laws. The documentation driver's licenses for illegals. The school resource officer controversy is one of the few things that probably has gotten quite a bit of media coverage and some pushback because in the misnomer named public safety bill, or actually this might have been in the education bill if I remember right. Sorry, it was in the education bill. There was plenty of other junk in the public safety bill. But in the public safety, in the education bill, they put a prohibition on any form of prone restraint unless there's an imminent risk of bodily harm. And that's not only by the what?
Get the mic out of your mouth.
It's not anymore, but so you say you want it further away from me?
There we go.
Okay. Okay, I'm not trying to start it. Okay. So anyway, we've got the public safety bill. I mean the education bill. And it applies not only to just ordinary school personnel, but even to licensed law enforcement officers. This prohibition. And there's some differing legal opinions on whether or not how they can respond to such situations, to the point where a lot of them have just decided just to withdraw from being school resource officers altogether. And so that is something that has gotten some attention. We had the carbon-free by 2040 mandates. And that was one of the main motivators, priorities for the youth vote that came out this year, this past election. So and that's going to be extremely costly and unreliable forms of energy if allowed to stand. The mandatory paid leave program administered by the state. You may have seen, that's going to be really hard on small businesses, and you may have seen something this week that they've already upwardly adjusted what they think it's going to cost to do this, and the amount of payroll tax that's going to have to be eventually collected to fund this. So then we have, of course, the recreational marijuana, legalized, taxed, and regulated. So then in terms of three big new entitlements besides the paid leave program. We have the free college tuition for families with less than $80,000 in income. If it's $79,500, you don't get anything. If it's $80,000, it's free. So then we also have the free meals for all attending schools except for homeschools. And that is another outgrowth of the COVID emergency that came through. It was something people got used to during COVID, and that was in this report, by the way, besides having a scorecard, which has the 2023 and cumulative grading of all the 201 legislators, we also write up the bills that we scored. This year we scored 23 bills, which is the most we've scored in a long time. We actually even expanded the printed pages of the report by 4 pages this year, and we still left things out that we normally would have covered other years, because it was just such a huge onslaught of changes that they pushed through. So, but in that, there's a specific write-up, for example, on the school lunch program, school meals program, and you can see not only what the bill did, but the reasoning, likely impact of the bill, and the reasoning behind our yes or no vote. And we try to base our yes or no votes on the credo, which is listed right on the front of the report and on the website. So even though we're nonpartisan, we have a credo that respects constitutionally limited government, sustaining life, liberty, property rights, free enterprise. So you can see where we're coming from. And this year, we had 10 honorees and 27 honorable mentions, which is the most we've had in a long time. And we'll get back to that maybe as far as why that is. Are there any current legislators here tonight? A lot of times there isn't. Some of you. There was one or not? No. So, a lot of, funny that we have to talk about the report of the legislators. The legislators aren't actually here to give the input like they might. But, so I can say whatever I want, I guess. But, I would say the biggest reason why we have so many more honorees this year, which I guess you could call a silver lining, that we did have to find a lot more members of the legislature we could honor. And we do honor awards at our annual banquet. We don't endorse or give money to candidates, but we do honor them at our annual banquet. But the biggest reason why is because, except for the bonding bill, which requires a supermajority, there's really almost nothing that the people outside of the DFL majority caucuses could impact. And they had enough votes to pass everything without any votes from minority caucuses. So they didn't make any concessions. They really didn't. Almost anything. There were very few concessions, so there's almost no reason to vote for this legislation. And the budget bills were going to pass just with the majority caucus votes. So all the junk that they pushed in, we didn't have to vote for it. So it was nice that we were able to find 37 legislators that we could give honorees or honorable mention to. But outside of the DFL caucus, there were 97 still legislators total. So there's still room for improvement for a lot of legislators outside the DFL caucus. And you can look at that in the report. So anyway, moving on. Last time they had complete control was 2013. And in the outline, I go through some of the things they prioritized then, but what were big differences between 2023 and 2013 is there was more willingness to override parents with the extreme abortion laws, with no restrictions, even on, as far as no prior notification for minors to have abortions or anything up to birth. And the trans care stuff where they, again, you might have seen the lieutenant governor say, if they say something, believe them. Well, you can't always just rely on the judgment of your kids. If there would be no point in parenting if that were the case. So, there's more willingness to expand programs this time, I think, unconditionally to non-citizens. We see this with the driver's licenses. We see this with the expansion of Medicare eligibility as well. That was tucked into another round of disabilities here. More full focus on extreme environmentalists, which which is a top priority of the young leftists. And 2013 was a lot of it was about solidifying and doubling down on Obamacare. And this year they focused more on the environmentalism and some of the other social issues. More willingness to ramp up ethnic subsidies and ideological ethnic education, embracing reparations and tribalism in a variety of ways. We got greater spending increases this year, 38% spending increase in the biennial budget, which is ridiculous, but a lot of that is a consequence of the huge federally boosted surplus that ratcheted up the ability for increased spending. I think some of the things they did is confidence that they're just going to stay in power. We have to find a way to shake that confidence, at least after the fact. Maybe surprise them, but nevertheless shake that confidence. But some of the things they pushed through, I don't think they would have pushed through. They didn't think they could automatically keep power. With the red flag extreme risk protection orders, some of the state legislators have been very vulnerable if you just put that in a standalone bill. But they put it in the omnibus public safety bill. We've got the more willingness to curtail speech as well, and more willingness to pass broader tax increases. So in 2013, they passed a gift tax and hiking the cigarette tax, but this year, you can't even count on one hand all the different tax and fee increases. There's the new Metro-wide housing/farm sales tax. There's a new Metro-wide transportation transit sales tax. There's the Amazon retail delivery fee. There's the license tax increases. There's all kinds of stuff. Gas tax is a big one. And that one, they were particularly deceptive on that because the gas tax increase indexed to the construction index, they didn't put that in the transportation bill in the House or the Senate when it first got floor votes. It was put in during conference committee. They went big. And when it comes back as part of the transportation budget with less than a day left in the session, you gotta pass the transportation budget. It has hundreds of millions of dollars for various roads and bridges and everything. The only thing they can do when it comes back from conference committee is reject the report up or down. They can't amend anything anymore at that point. So that's how they ran that through. So then they also put together an A to Z list. And you guys have probably seen some lists, some of you have anyway, from American Experimental Avenues and so forth, and some of the legislators and some of the things they passed. I put together an A to Z list. I haven't been up here for always the last two people that were just here.
Yeah, you have.
No, I haven't, but anyway. So, if you look at the outline, you'll see a lot of stuff on here. And there's things I'm learning that I didn't even know about. I keep learning more things each week. So many people tell me about that have been putting things. So there's like no new hydroelectric nuclear power plants can qualify for meeting these carbon-free 2040 mandates. A green bank, the Minnesota Climate Innovation Finance Authority, was created as a state corporation to be overseen by 13 appointees of the governor and given $20 million in startup funds. You probably heard about the carbon-free, but they also, pollution control agency must submit a 90% waste reduction by 2045 according to the legislature. So there's phased-in requirements for watercraft operator permits, test and safety courses. And you guys can go down and look at the list. I could have more information in the back as well. A 16-member state council, LGBTQIA2S+, that's right in the statute, Minnesotans, was created, funded, and given duties. So then there's, besides the gas tax, also the school funding formula was tied to inflation indexes, removing the need for discretionary votes in the future. And then they did things in terms of balance of power, constitutional balance of power. House, legislature versus the governor versus the judiciary. The compensation council, which was passed a few years back, as a constitutional amendment, they first were just supposed to set the salaries of the legislature. Now they've been given total authority to set salaries of agency heads and state constitutional officers. The Attorney General gets to authorize disbursements for new consumer litigation fund. Anyway, so, and then just briefly getting to election changes that they made. So they made changes in a variety of bills. In the election, House File 3, the omnibus election bill, but also a lot in the omnibus state government bill, and also the federal voting bill. And there's a number of things this year, and there may be some attorneys in the audience might have some opinions on this, that more than usual, I think, that may come up with a legal challenge that just fly in the face of various constitutions. You have the hello.
You turned it off.
I didn't.
Well, that's all right. Let's move
Yeah.
on.
So anyway, you have the constitutional amendment process. So Article 7 in the state constitution.
It's almost perfect. Yeah.
there's- Okay, so it says that felons are among the class of voters that are not eligible to vote unless restored to civil rights. So if they wanted to change that, they should have submitted a constitutional amendment to the voters. They didn't do that. All they did is they passed a bill that says they get their voting rights restored. There's a whole range of civil rights. So this case was just heard in Anoka County earlier this week. And part of what's going on, and we in the election bills as well, there's lots of speech restrictions on express advocacy, on quote unquote misinformation. Created a new statute for intimidation or interference with voting. Your leader right here was put on the spot. I don't even know if she knows this. Do you even know this? So most people probably thought that was like if you're interfering at the polling place. If you just say right now, the Anoka County Attorney, Brad Johnson, has filed a counterclaim after this case. If you just say right now that you don't think felons are still legally allowed to vote because they didn't change the Constitution, they are going to go after, they filed a counterclaim to go after any restraint violation, restraining order to prevent you from saying this. And if you keep saying it, if you intend to commit this, continue saying your opinion on something, then the court may impose a civil penalty of up to $1,000 for each violation.
Whoa.
So they are serious about trying to control speech, control the discussion. And it has to be challenged. The trans refuge law has to be challenged. The U.S. Constitution has a full faith in Christ law. So you have a custody ruling from another state. We're just going to ignore it because you want to provide gender-affirming care. These things have to be challenged. The law enforcement officers, if they're not on the job, they're being told they cannot associate with certain types of groups that are not approved by the state, not extremist groups. So there's a whole range of things that demand to be legally challenged as outside of the election process itself.
And I would say that, you go look at the report. I'm going to try to put this outline up within a couple weeks on our lea-mn.org website as well. And, talk to your neighbors, find things that they care about the most, and then go look through the report and the research, and chances are there's something that the legislature did this year that went way over the deep end on those issues. It should not be hard to motivate people to get out and challenge the power structure in Minnesota government right now.
We're going to need batteries in this. Can somebody, Travis or somebody, come up and put some batteries in? Thanks, John, very much. Thank you very much. Here's your pen, too. Go on, step on it. But the website is lea-mn.org. It's only $10 to be a member. You will be included in their annual survey of the issues that are of most importance to you, and you'll also be invited to their annual banquet, which is in usually February or March. And John does a terrific job getting really interesting speakers. So give him another round of applause. He did a good job. And I know Sam Bankman-Fried was just convicted of all 7 counts of fraud in the FTX collapse. And our speakers for next month. Did you notice this? On December 7th, we have Liz Collin and Bob Kroll coming back. Their documentary called The Fall of Minneapolis. If we don't stand for the truth, we'll fall for the lies. It's being released on November 16th. They will be here to show clips of it and give you an update more on Derek Chauvin's case as well. So put December 7th on your calendar. We hope to pack the room again. She'll have her book here, but I don't know if you know this, but Liz Collin was a producer of the documentary. So I want to say thank you in advance for all these wonderful donations you've given. Remember, we only exist because of donations. We've never done any act of fundraising. We don't have big buck donors behind us. It's us. It's us fighting the cause, and I think we're winning. I don't know. What do you think? I think we're. But we do need your support, and the bucket will be up there at the table on your way out. If it's in your heart and your wallet to give a little more, we sure appreciate it. So tonight, our main feature, of course, is Michelle Lance, who is the president and co-founder of the Child Protection League. The Child Protection League has been on the front lines, fighting for the minds of our children and laying out the information war we're in and what we're going to do about it. How many of you heard Michelle before you speak? She's phenomenal, is she not? Yep, and in addition to administrative and public relations responsibilities, Michelle educates and equips activists to protect children from exploitation, indoctrination, and violence. She's been in LA at the Minnesota Senate. She's been active in multiple political campaigns since she started her civic involvement by volunteering at her local crisis pregnancy center 35 years ago. She knows the importance of the proper education of children, the need for strong families. She and her husband Jim have 9 adult children, 22 to 36, all of which have been homeschooled. So would you please welcome Michelle Lance to the Child Protection League.
All right, thank you, Mary. Let's see if my thing works. Okay, so you heard a little bit about the Child Protection League. I'm just going to skip over that. I'm going to assume that we can all agree tonight that the basis of my presentation will be based on those 2 things. Would you agree? Would you be okay with that? If we have an agreement tonight that my presentation is going to be based on the principles of the Bible and the Constitution. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm going to skip over the current issues because John gave you the rundown, and it was just as bad as it was to have to listen to how awful they were last year. It was every bit as awful as he described it, and these are the issues that the Child Protection League has worked on this past year. But I just want to, I know you can't see this graphic, but this is from a Minnesota Advanced Placement English assignment. They had to write day 1 or 2 of school this year. In this fall, they had to write an essay. This happened in Mankato. I think it happened in Stillwater. And they had to write an essay describing which one were they. Were they an overt white supremacist, or were they a covert white supremacist? And that's what's happened to our public education system. Queer theory, the trans cult, the child mutilation advocate legislation, I just want to point this out. There is no gender affirming care. That's a big freaking lie. It's gender mutilation, right? And the people who are pushing it are gender mutilation advocates. So we should just tell the truth and call them what they are.
Money grabbers.
Tonight, I'm going to take a different approach because this whole past year, I actually have not been talking about the issues that the Child Protection League really works on. I've been taking it up a little bit, or maybe digging down to the root a little bit more, so we can see that all of the things that we are fighting have the same root, and we are fighting the same enemy. And so it's important for us to see the reality around us. I bet every one of you has a sense of feeling things are really wrong in the world, right?
Yes.
So we gotta just face that harsh reality and have the courage and the intellectual honesty to see things the way they are. And then have some discernment to soberly see, look at the meaning behind it. And then have the courage to act based on that discernment. And I want you to keep in mind this little question. What would victory look like if it were present today? So if the fruit is rotten, take a look at the root. So we have ridiculous things like critical race theory, social emotional learning, comprehensive sex ed, all of the issues that we've been working on. I'm not going to explain them to you because I bet you know what they are. What I'm going to show you, by the words of the people who promote that stuff, that at the root of it is cultural Marxism. And at the root of it is a revolution, and we are in the midst of a revolution right now. And the revolutionaries have one goal, and that's to destroy this country. I wonder what I missed there. Okay. So let's just start here with the Frankfurt School. The Frankfurt School was a group of Marxists who lived in Germany. Their goal was to destroy Christianity in Germany. They ended up having to flee, and they relocated to Columbia University in the United States, and they just switched their goal to destroying Christianity in the United States. They set up 11 goals. They had 11 goals in order to achieve their mission. Now, let's just look at a couple of them. The creation of racism offenses, continual change to create confusion, the teaching of sex and homosexuality to children, the undermining of schools and teachers' authority, huge immigration to destroy identity, the promotion of excessive drinking, the emptying of the churches, dependency on the state, the dumbing down of the media, encouraging the breakdown of the family, and you could go on to read the rest. But what I want to ask is, haven't they achieved them all? Yeah. In 1963, it was read into the congressional record, the current communist goals taken from the book The Naked Communist by Cleon Skousen. And this is the goal, some of the goals, there were 45 of them. Get control of the schools, infiltrate the press, gain control of key positions in radio, discredit American culture, control the arts, eliminate law governing obscenity, break down cultural standards, present homosexual degeneracy, promiscuity as normal, natural, and healthy. It's all perfectly normal, you know. Eliminate prayer in the schools, discredit the American founding fathers, right? The tearing down of our statues. Have we seen that? Belittle all forms of American culture, discourage the teaching of American history, support any move that gives centralized control over any part of the culture to the government. And the list goes on and on, but you get the point, right? Cultural Marxism is at the root of all of this. So let me give you a few quotes. Wilhelm Reich is considered the father of the sexual revolution. He wrote a book called The Sexual Revolution, and in it he said, if you want to destroy a society, if you want to overthrow a society, what you do is you sexualize the children. Written back in the 30s and 40s. Under gender ideology, what is that? Well, gender ideology is the negation of everything that's normal. And one of the earliest thinkers of gender ideology is Simone de Beauvoir. She lived in France in the early 1900s. She is quoted as saying, a woman isn't a woman. She's not born a woman. She becomes a woman because of society. Right? That's exactly what is behind gender ideology. Antonio Gramsci, you're probably familiar with him, Italian Marxist, coined the term the long march through the institutions. He said that the way to overthrow a society would be to infiltrate all of the institutions and subvert them with cultural Marxist ideology. George Lucas, founder of the Frankfurt School, Herbert Marcuse, major influencer in the 1960s. And what all these people had in common is they were all Marxists. They were obsessed with revolution. And here's a question we got to start asking ourselves. When did we in the United States stop talking about Marxist ideology and communism? And when we stopped talking about it is when they advanced it. Okay, so I just thought these were interesting pictures, and that top picture might be hard to see. It's the one on the top right. You might remember in the 2020, 2021, that couple was in New York City, eating dinner on an outdoor cafe when that mob approached them, right? And made them, kneel to the mob, raise a fist to the mob, or else, you're racist. And it's just intimidation, but what I want to point out to you that this image of the raised fist, that's not coincidence. That's all communism. That's all Marxist. So back to our baseline. Let's quote. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall be most likely to affect their safety and happiness. So let's have the courage to look at the reality here and ask ourselves some questions. Do we have a governor in Arizona who was elected by the consent of the governed?
No.
Do we have a president of the United States that won by 81 million votes?
No.
Do you think the governor and the controlling party of the Minnesota legislature are doing the will of the people?
No.
So what might you call it when a people are no longer being governed by the consent of the governed?
Tyranny.
I think you're right. So at least we're dealing with soft totalitarianism. So I know, and this is going to get a little bit more depressing, but I promise you we're not going to end in a depressed area, okay? We're going to end it up in an empowered place. But the revolution is here. It's in our midst. We have to face the reality. We used to talk about a culture war. We're beyond the culture war now. They are at the point of revolution. They are trying to push us over the edge. And they're not going to succeed, but let's just be real about what we're dealing with. Okay. Let's see if we can sum up the whole thing. And Mary, I need the mic on the projector. We're going to sum up the whole thing in 1 minute, okay? Okay. When a country and a culture have lost any sense of truth, beauty, and goodness, that culture is truly sick. If you don't think our culture is sick, get a load of this. That video on TikTok got like 22 million views. And I don't know what sad person and entity tried to make a hit, boy band out of the Island Boys. But, I mean, it didn't work, but that is, in my opinion, an example of how sick our society has become. Okay, so would you agree we're at war? Yes. Would you agree the enemy is within our borders? Yes. Can we turn back? Can we stick our head in the sand? Is there any turning back but walking through this, right? We have got to walk through this. Okay, so the question is, who will we be in the face of it? And that's where we're going to go now. I love Sam Adams' his quote, "It does not take a majority to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless minority, keen on setting brush fires of freedom in the minds of men." And that's what all of us is called to do. It helps, if you're dealing with tyranny, to maybe take a look at where other people who have dealt with tyranny have gone and what they have said and what we can learn from these people. So, a great one is Alexander Solzhenitsyn, of course, who on the eve of his being exiled out of Russia, wrote his essay, Live Not by Lies. But he said, the simple step of a courageous individual is not to take part in the lie. One word of truth outweighs the world. You can resolve to live your life with integrity. Let your credo be this: let the lie come into the world. Let it even triumph, but not through me. When they tell you that you have to say that a boy is a girl and call that boy she, you draw the line. Personal integrity, right? Don't ever cross that line, because they know if you cave on that, you'll cave on the whole thing. Let it triumph, but not through me. The price of cowardice will only be evil. We shall reap courage and victory only when we dare to make sacrifices. And we are all going to be called to make sacrifices. And many of you already have made many sacrifices. Okay, another great place to look for information, inspiration, wisdom is Václav Havel and his book called The Power of the Powerless. And there's a movie about it too. It's a great documentary. But this man spent 3 years in jail. He lived in Czechoslovakia. He was a dissident under the Soviet Union's control of Czechoslovakia. And what they did was they kept exposing what the communists were doing. They kept getting the word out and exposing it. And the people there, they were afraid to speak up, just like they're trying to make you afraid to speak up here. They were afraid to speak up because their kids would get kicked out of the university or they would lose their job. And it took that small group of people who would not give up, continuing to put that information out. If the information finally got outside of Czechoslovakia, of course you had Ronald Reagan, Margaret Thatcher, and John Paul II, who were all working at the same time to put pressure on the Soviet Union. So while they were feeling the pressure from within Czechoslovakia, the people were rising up. And the rising up actually started to come through the university by the young people who said, Mom and Dad, I'm not going to live the way you're living in this fear. And so kind of a perfect storm situation, and communism fell. The Soviet Union collapsed. And Czechoslovakia became a free country again, in which Václav Havel became their first president. He went from dissident, in jail, president under a new country. Some of you might be familiar with this relatively new book by Rod Dreher, a couple of years old by now, Live Not by Lies. But what I loved about this book is he interviewed people who lived under communism, and he asked them, you know, like, how did you survive it? What did you do? And what he determined, based on all those interviews, it was the people who had small group gatherings that survived it better because they had built a community where, one, they felt free to talk like you do here. This is way more valuable, Mary, than you could ever know, and maybe you do know, because here you don't have that oppression that you might have in the workplace or that they want to create for you in society. And the people who had that in especially the Eastern Bloc, the Soviet Bloc countries, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, they fared better. Their children said, we actually had a better life. We did better because my parents belonged to these small communities that would meet regularly. So it looks ugly, right? It is ugly. When you have a country that cannot recognize truth anymore, it cannot celebrate true beauty and goodness, you're a seriously sick society. And that is what we're experiencing out there. Everything is turned on its head. But don't lose hope, because that's the lie that they are trying to tell you is prevalent. Well, what I'm going to show you is a video that got 26 million views compared to the Island Boys. And actually, this girl's official video was well over 40 million views. This is actually what America really thinks. You can't kill that. You will never kill that, because that's truth, beauty, and goodness. So, yeah, the revolution is here, but so is the counter-revolution. And we're seeing that rise up. I just, Tucker Carlson interviewing Elon Musk. Amazing things that, 2 or 3 years ago, you wouldn't have dreamed would be happening. Both the bad, but look at the good. We've got the exposure of the corruption. People are actually talking about communism and Marxism. People are talking about not the crimes that these people are committing, the treason that they are committing. There's a big difference, A crime is prosecuted in court. Treason is prosecuted by the military, right? So hang on. I mean, it's going to get crazy. The broken systems are failing, and gosh, don't prop them up. Let them fall. Some of these systems cannot be fixed. I'm not so sure. I'm just going to go out on a limb. I'm not speaking as the Child Protection League right now. Speaking as Michelle. I'm not sure the public school system can be fixed. Quit feeding the beast. Get your kids out. Do everything you can. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Censorship is failing. People they're not buying the lie. Not only are they not buying the lie, but they can get to the truth now. And you're seeing more and more people, and as things get tougher, more and more people wake up. The people are seeing through the propaganda. Parents are rising up. That is clear. Parents are seeing things. Maybe that was the hidden lining, silver lining of COVID, that parents actually started to see what kids were being taught. That's certainly part of it. Citizens are taking back local governments. Lawsuits are being won. And I think that there's some spiritual revival going on. So the revolution is here, but when you stand on truth, you stand on an unshakable foundation. And honestly, every time I give this talk, I feel like I have to update the list of the good things that are happening, but I'm going to skip over them. I'm going to skip over that. Understand that God created you for this time. Really let that sink in. You could have been born any time. You were born in the midst of a revolution. You were born at a time to take back your country And how are you going to take back your country? I assert to you that there are two things that we all have in common, but we can look at one. And I don't, they like to call us, all kinds of names. A lot of them end in phobe, right? I mean, they say we're haters, whatever, But here's the thing. Me and my gay friends, and my friends who might have gender confusions, and my friends who are of other ethnic nationalities, we're Americans. We're united by the Constitution, and these people are not going to divide us, because those are not my enemy. Amen. My enemy is the cultural Marxist who is trying to destroy this country. Yes. So we stand with anyone. You put your hand on your heart and you pledge allegiance to that flag and the republic for which it stands. You're not my enemy. You're my patriot and my friend. That unites us. No matter what. Doesn't matter the party. Doesn't matter the religion. That's what unites us. If you're a Christian, then we're united in that regard either. But we're a tolerant people who can live with other people. We did it for a long, long time. Absolutely. So what's going on? They are trying to divide us. Don't let them divide you. Amen. Okay, we have a mission. So we can be prudent, don't be stupid. Don't go out and take on battles that are just going to cause trouble for your family. But don't use that kind of rationality to do nothing, right? Discern. What is God calling you to do? He apparently is calling me to work with the Child Protection League. He might be calling you to work on another issue. Some of you might be, Second Amendment is your hot button issue. Wherever God is calling you to go, that's where you should go. And understand that we may be working on different battlefields. We're still fighting the same enemy. And we're united in that. Yes. Okay. Part of that is organizing, right? It's organizing locally. We are the answer on the other side of this war. We are the ones who are going to have to teach, and we're the ones who are going to have to govern. And so we have to organize now. We have to accept responsibility that we have not been vigilant. Okay, sorry. We can own that. But it's like this picture. Dear school boards, parents are coming, and they've got questions, right? I don't know if you saw the video that went. This guy, I think he was at a school board meeting, and he said, "We're taking back the wheel. Thanks for your service. We're taking back the wheel." Right? That's what it's going to take. Right? Don't wait for the victory. Claim it now, because locally you have a lot of power. Okay, strategies. One of the things that I'll be working on in the next year is helping people to understand the propaganda and the manipulation and the tactics that the other side uses to try to isolate you, marginalize you, shut you down, censor you. And it's important for us to understand how they do that, because it's a known playbook. And they're really good at it. What we can do is we can learn how to name the dynamic, name the tactics that they're using. Don't get caught in the traps. So hang with me. I won't go into it much tonight. This is a little bit. Some of this stuff came from the work of James Lindsay, who we just brought in recently. But this is really important stuff to understand the dialectical traps that they put us in. And one of them is they will do things to try to get you to react. And your reaction is what they're waiting for. Because then your reaction gets filmed, right? And then it gets used to make you look like you're some kind of something, or it's used to bolster their base, their minions. And we have to stop falling for the trap. Instead of falling for the trap, what we do is say, you're just provoking me. You're trying to provoke me, and we're not falling for it this time. We're not engaging with you. They will say something totally outrageous, and then you start countering it, right? That's not true. Oh, you hater. No, I'm not a hater. Oh, yes, you are. Oh, no, I'm not. And now you've fallen into the trap. When The effective response is they say something outrageous and you say, you're just trying to provoke us. You're trying to provoke us to react. And not only is what you're saying not true, but we're not going to engage in it. And when you do that, it puts them on the defensive, but in addition to that, it helps the people around you to see that that was a trap. So they don't fall for it either. And the more we wake up and we call out those dynamics and we call out those traps, the more we help other people to wake up. This is what's happening with the media. People they're not buying the lies anymore. Do you see that? People are, and once you know that your abuser is abusing you, they can't abuse you anymore. Because you're onto it. So that is key. Watch for that. We're going to be putting out some things this year. Locally, investigating, governing, holding your local officials accountable, right? I mean, these are things we haven't been doing. Some have, but collectively as a vigilant people, we haven't been, and we have to start doing it. Because the structure for the United Nations Agenda 2030 is already established in Minnesota. Regional government structure is already here. And they do it through NGOs, through nonprofit organizations that connect with the school board, or they connect with the city council or the county commissions, and they say, hey, we can get all kinds of free stuff, we can get all kinds of great deals if we collectively combine our buying power together, right? And we work through organizations like Sourcewell, and there's different organizations in different regions of the state. Those organizations are right out of the UN. And what our local people do, what our local councils do when they decide to contract with an NGO in one of the cities by me, they did this to bring in electric vehicle charging stations, right? And then, so they put them in, they got grants to put them in, now who's going to pay for them afterwards to keep them going, right? And then all kinds of regulations and all of that authority was outsourced out of the city council to this third-party partnership. So these private-public partnerships are poison for us, because what's happening is our local officials are then giving up their authority to a party that's not elected. So one of the first things I would say in investigate and govern is go to your local councils and start asking for their contracts, right? Hey, we get it. We haven't been here. Sorry, you've had to carry this load all by yourself. Thank you for your service. Now we'd like to see the contracts, right? And go in with confidence. You are the terror of these people because of that pesky document called the U.S. Constitution, which gives you all the authority you need. And then you add on that the authority of moral law. You're scaring them, but we're going to take back our country. Teaching, do everything you can to get kids out of the public school. These aren't public schools, by the way. These are government schools. Yeah. And when the government took over education, the government took over the future. No. And the people who infiltrated that, which, I mean, it's probably inevitable that was going to happen, but it has happened. It's way far advanced. One of the things Child Protection League will probably be exposing a lot this year is how much mental health services they are bringing into the public schools. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, it's nuts. So, some of you are veterans. I saw that. I'm not going to speak specifically to the men in the room. Boy, do we need you. Not just, because you have a natural authority. And so when I swear, when men show up, it's the end. It's over when the men show up. You just have that authority. But what I'm saying is, not only that, but the next generation, so those of you who are veterans, this next generation, they need to hear your stories. They need to see your courage, your resolve. They need to see you in the community, because if we don't change the culture and work now to take back the culture, we're going to lose this generation of young people. And I'm just going to speak from, somebody who grew up in the feminist movement. The feminist movement did more to hurt women than anything else. And men didn't, they got the short end of that. And it's time for us women to start giving them that respect and start, telling the radical femmes, who are, by the way, arguing with every other thing in that LGBT. That is no community. They are fighting amongst themselves. There's no unification there. Okay? They're not unified, because one reason is because gender ideology is the negation of every norm. And so a homosexual man, to the gender ideology, is normal. And because the homosexual man knows he's a man. And that just makes them feel oppressed. And so now you have to negate everything that's normal. That's what gender ideology is, right? So let's not refer to that as a community, because that is not a community. They are very much divided. But and so this is why I say, let's just go back to what unites us. What unites us is that Constitution. We can stand next to any American who's willing to stand and say, you will not destroy this country. You will not take it away from us. We're taking it back from you. Okay? So, yeah, the Patriots Story Hour that the Child Protection League put together, I think there's a couple kits over there. It's got, 4 books, and the whole idea is you don't need the kit, but you can take one if you want. Go into the public library, rent the room. The hardest part of the Patriot Story Hour is promoting it and getting the word out for people. But the long-term goal there is that it's up to us to instill patriotism in the next generation. So you can go into the public school and say, it's President's Day. What are you doing? Me and the community, we got our George Washington, costume. We want to come in. We want to do some celebration. And, the school will probably say no. Then stand on the corner in your George Washington and wave to the kids. Think outside the box. Do everything that you can to bring a patriotic culture alive. It's us living it. That's what's going to change it, is us living it. And us saying, I will not live by lies. I will not pretend that we don't have a great American heritage. I will not let you rewrite history. I'm going to tell the truth about our history, whether it's the good, the bad, or the ugly. But the fact is, we have a lot of heroes in our history, right? And we got to make those people come alive. So that's kind of, as I'm talking to you dads and granddads, what I'm telling you is your stories are really powerful, and the youth of this generation need to hear them. So, form little pods. Be willing to tutor. Even if you can help one family get their kids out of the public school, help that one family. Even if that's all you can do, help that one family. You've made a huge difference in the life of that family and those children. So, you might not be called to the run for school board. You might not be called to run for office, right? Just ask God, where are you calling me? Where are you calling me? Because the culture is calling you forward. Take back Sundays. I always feel like I'm going to get in trouble with people when I say this. But tell me since when did we start having soccer tournaments on Sunday? Gymnastics tournaments, basketball tournaments, softball tournaments. Just say no. Just say no. We're not doing it. Do you remember the story of the Olympic runner in England who wouldn't compete on Sunday? It was a big fiasco. Eric Little? Yep. Amazing story. Let us be that here. and start taking back Sundays, spending time together, you know, practicing your faith, celebrate patriotism, all of these things, this is the answer. It's not hard, it's simple. It's a simple answer, but what it requires now, I mean, the times are so ugly that doing this is going to make you a hero. Okay? Especially teaching children things like this: courage, valor, self-control, generosity, respect. These are the simple things we've lost, my friends. And they are the things that when you restore, you will change the culture by restoring that in people. So I think I'm wrapping up here. Consider Poland. Poland was literally wiped off the map for 123 years. They were taken over, they ceased to be a country, and they came back 123 years later. And I have to ask myself, how did they do that? And I assert to you that they did it because they never lost their faith, and they never lost their patriotism and their identity as a people. Okay, so have the courage to look at what's really going on, to discern it. Let's just face reality. They are trying to throw us over the edge now. We are in the midst of full-blown revolution. Oh, I'll read you one last thing. You want to hear this? The features of a revolution. 5 things. What are the features of a revolution? So you can identify it and just... Then maybe you can decide for yourself, am I just being dramatic? Okay, first. The first feature of a revolution is having an aggrieved social class. The second feature of a revolution is a climate conducive to radical change. The third feature of a revolution is a weak government. The fourth is a triggering incident. The fifth is moderate and radical phases. And you can kind of look back over the last few years especially. There have been radical phases we have gone through, right? We're watching that. And once that happens, the last part is two outcomes. It's going to go one way or the other. A consolidation of the revolution or a victory of the counter-revolution. So those are the 5 stages of a revolution based on sociologists. Don't give up the faith. Like Mary said, we are winning. Yes. The world doesn't want you to think we're winning, and the next year is not going to be easy. Right. But on the other side of it, we're going to teach, we're going to govern, and we're going to take back our country. Thanks a lot.
We can take a couple of questions. Anybody? Go ahead, stand up and shout it out.
I'm addressing, would like to address you.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, forgot your name. Michelle, do you happen to have a copy of your presentation in terms of some of the authors that you referenced, et cetera, et cetera?
Mm-hmm.
That would be accessible.
It's the same one. I think it's the same one I gave you for a season.
Yeah, she was videotaped at a BPOU meeting, and that's on the website.
That's true on the CPL Rumble channel. Is this presentation?
CPL Rumble.
Yeah. If you just go to our website, you'll find the link to it. CPLaction.com.
Yeah, and we also have Diana and Robert who are, can you tell us where it's going to be posted?
Diana, she'll post things on some of the various pages.
Facebook pages, do you want to shout any of them out?
Yeah, like Rocks and Cows, North Metro Patriots.
North Metro Patriots, Rocks and Cows, Liberty Tea Party Patriots.
But if you email me from, you can just email me from the Child Protection League website. I will send you a PDF of the, yeah, if you change it, just take my name off it. You know, I don't care who gets the credit. There are people who can do this and do it way better than me. What matters is that we make a change, right? And so this is true about the Child Protection League and just about everything we do. We just share it. all that stuff over there, except for the books, those are for fundraising, but it's there for you to take. Take what you need to be able to equip you to help fight the fight, right? That's why people donate to us, so that we can make that available. But it's not like, oh, that's a copyright thing. I couldn't care less, okay? I just want to win the war.
Have you heard of Jonathan Kahn? Are you familiar with him? Because a lot of what you're saying connects to his book, Return of the Gods. And so I don't want to go into that here because it's really deep. But a lot of what you're saying has to do particularly with our children and stuff like that. So I'm not sure how familiar you are with his work or with his books, but
Yeah, I haven't read that one, but I appreciate that.
he just spoke not too long ago, this summer, at Living Word. But for those of you who are interested, Return of the Gods by Jonathan Kahn. He spells his name a little different, but anyway, it's really relevant to what's going on right now in our schools and our nation. Just saying that.
Raise your hand if you agree that this is ultimately a spiritual war between good and evil. And he is, Jonathan Kahn is spot on, I think.
Another question? The lesson of all this is that, yes, this next year is going to be tough, and some of us individually are going to be singled out. But just know that the movement and what we're working towards is not going to go away. You may see some new faces that have to come in to take over. But we do not give up. We have faith. It is on our side. And we've been priming now for about 14 years for this. So here we are. We're in the middle of the battle, and we had better stand strong now and continue the fight, because we will win this.
Amen.
Michelle, we'll have her back again. Yes, we will. It's our minds we're fighting for, too, not just our kids. So what can we do? Well, there's an election here next week, November 7th. We have got to get our candidates in the school. Otherwise, nothing's going to change. Go vote. You can't vote often, but you can vote. Come on up, Karen. You can go, and you can go right now, vote early. We need to get that in, or at least get there on election day. Take people with you. Grab your neighbor. Offer to go and insist you drive them. We've got to win these seats. Karen and Tia, what you got? You got the Anoka Hennepin County?
I do, yes. There are 3 Anoka Hennepin.
Give her the mic. Can't hear.
Yes, I'm in the deep depths of working for the candidate in District 5, but we have District 1 and 2 also, which are 3 candidates for the Anoka Hennepin School Board this year out of the 6. And if these 3 candidates win, and we're working hard to make that happen, we can flip that school district, the biggest district in the state. I just came from this morning, the absentee ballot board, working on absentee ballots. There are not very many. We really need to get our people out to vote. So we've been making calls.
Lyondale, please be quiet.
So there's a group of us that have been making phone calls to people in the district and encourage you, if you can spend a little time making a few calls. I did 50 calls in 2 hours, and I'm okay with that because this is so important. So thank you.
Thank you.
Who are the candidates?
All right.
Say them out loud.
I have papers here, and you can take a paper if you like on the way out, because it shows the map of the district on the back side. But Zach Arco is running in District 2, which is in Blaine. Linda Hochman is running in District 1, which is actually Andover and Anoka. Ramsey. And then the candidate in District 5, Scott Simmons, is running in Coon Rapids and Eastern Brooklyn Park, a little bit of Brooklyn Center, and a couple precincts in Fridley.
Right, all right.
There you go.
Go ahead, Glenn. Stand up, show.
I want the floor.
He wants the floor.
I want the mic. If you think that your vote doesn't count, listen, consider this. I live in Hopkins. I happen to be in the Hopkins City Hall this morning. So I checked the number of votes that have been cast. And this, number of votes have been cast in a city of 22,000 people. 134.
Oh.
That's all that's been voted. If all the people in this room got in and voted one way, you'll win the election. So
you want us to go to
go vote.
Yeah, this is very serious. We lose these elections. This is considered an off year because there's such a low turnout. It can make a difference. Come on up if you got something to say. But we can swing these elections, and we have to. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. Here's Sue.
Okay, I'm working at the one of 4 early voting locations in Ramsey County at the Roseville Library. We've had 200 to 300 people a day between 10 and 4 come in and vote. Many of them are for the Mounds View School District 621. So come out and vote if you're in Ramsey County. I'm there through, we've got Friday, we've got Saturday 9 to 3, we've got Monday 10 to 4. And we'd love to have you come and vote early.
So, John, did you want to say something real quick? Come on.
I just want to say there's a whole bunch of school board candidates, all over the metro area. Minnesota Parents Alliance has a whole listing of, on their board's guide, candidates in various districts. There's 4 in the Hastings district, which is one of the worst districts. And there's 3 in South Washington County, a whole bunch of Egan, Rosemont, Apple Valleys. Go to the Minnesota Parents Alliance if you're not right from this particular area, and you can, even the ones from this area, you can see what the various candidates are.
Okay, good, thank you. So, next month we'll have some reports on how all these school board races shook out. I want to let you know that the Pints and Politics North has been resurrected. It is now the 3rd Monday of every month in Lexington. Cowboy Saloon, which is on South Highway Drive off of 35 and Lakeshore Drive. It's in Lexington there. November 20th is our next meeting. The flyers are on the handout table back there. 5:30 to 8:30, there's going to be a turkey giveaway. We have book and button giveaways. We have drop-in gifts. Last month when we first started, we had John Justice and Robbie drop in from AM 11:30. And we'll have other candidates and other people dropping in. I've been trying to get our next month's speakers just to drop in this next time. So if you want to have a little more time to talk with Liz and Bobby, come over here on November 20th. So pick up one of these. This is another way of organizing, networking, and plotting, I suppose you could say. But it's a way to get everybody working together. If you become friends, you will work together. And we do. We have a lot of elections we have to win next year. With that, I'm going to say drive safely. Thank you so much. This was a good night. We'll see you on December 7th.
Thank you.